Hi everybody, good evening. Stacy here. I just wanted to jump on real quickly and share some love for our little kids out there, our beautiful children, and how we can love them a little bit more. There's always ways that we can love a little bit more, and I just wanted to kind of jump on quickly and share maybe 5 little tips or 5 little ways that we can show children, and maybe not just children, ourselves and others, but our children a little bit more love. And I know sometimes we tend to bring them a lot of our stress and a lot of our frustrations and things that we've got going on. So this is just a little reminder and maybe some little tips on how you can bring them a little bit more love today and tomorrow and down the future for them, and help create a really great close connection and bond with the children around us and each other. So I had a kind of one of those days today where you are running around a lot, you got lots to do, things are really stressful. And I don't have children, but I work with children most of the day. Actually, I spend most of my day and my week working with children. And I always try to find it, I always try to remind myself that when you get really worked up sometimes and really stressed out, that it's important to not bring that to the children, because children will actually feel your stress levels and will respond accordingly. So if you're stressed out, your children are probably stressed out too. And I had never seen myself getting into childcare. It's interesting how I got there, but and that'll maybe be another video. But I ended up in childcare at a time in my life when I didn't really have much direction of where it was that I wanted to go. Not just in a career, but like even as far as geographically, I wasn't sure if I was going to stay in the Niagara region or leave. And I ended up getting a call to come in and work at my friend's center. And so I came in, and during that time I had gone back to school to study something called polarity therapy. And through that I ended up finding another system called Brain Gym. And I do this system in the center. I do a lot of Brain Gym activities with the children, as well as breathing techniques and lots of trust building techniques. So we do a lot of rapport building with these kids. And during that phase of my life where I wasn't really sure what was going on, I had a lot of my own stresses going on, but it gave me a space where I could just be myself and implement my Brain Gym and implement the breathing techniques that I do for myself to calm my physiology. So when I'm getting really stressed out and I've got a lot going on, I know that I need to just stop and breathe. And I know sometimes I'll do that, and people ask me, like, what are you stressed out about? Like, why are you huffing and puffing? But I'm not. I'm actually just, keeping myself calm. And so I teach that to children, why it's so important to breathe and how it can help calm our physiology. But during that time when I was feeling really overwhelmed, I felt like at that center and working with the children, I could be myself more there with them than I could anywhere else. Around any other friends or family. At the time, it was like when I was around these children, I could just really be who I was, and I was free to share my knowledge and what it was that I had with them, because I knew that what I was doing with them was not just emotionally assisting them, strengthening them, but also neurologically. The work that I was doing with them was really helping them build not just their physical bodies up, but really strong, integrated whole brain connections. It was really exciting, and it is really exciting, the work we're doing with them. And I always wondered, why can't I just be myself at the center? I don't know what it is that's so different. Maybe the center just felt like home to me, because I did work with some friends. And another thing was also that, when you're surrounded in unconditional love, you are free and you feel free to be yourself and to be who you really are. And children do that, right? They offer us and they give us this unconditional love that sometimes, we don't feel that from our friends, and sometimes we don't feel that from our family if they're judging us for something, or losing our trust and disrespecting us on a regular basis. So a lot of times, when we're around children, we just feel free to be goofy, and we feel free to just be who we are. And it's because, they give us that unconditional love. Even if we, how many times have you made a promise to your child or to a child and broken it? And for a moment they're sad, but they forgive you and they move on because they love you, right? How many times have you made plans saying, oh yeah, we're gonna go here, and then they get all excited, where are we going, we're going, and they cancel, and they get let down, but they get right back up and they love you and you move forward, and thank goodness for that, right? These children who just love so unconditionally. And sometimes we forget that they do that for us, that they do love us like that, and we can be who we are and they won't judge us because they don't know what that means. They haven't gotten there yet to the space of judgment, and we hope that they don't get there, right? But at the same time, we sometimes take that for granted, the unconditional love of our children. And I say our children, I don't have children, but I'm surrounded by them. So, and I have beautiful nieces who I love very much. But it's one of those things, whenever we're really stressed out, that's sometimes how we repay them for their unconditional love, is by bringing them our stress or bringing them our frustration. So one thing today that I really tried to remember, and what I always try to remember with these children, and it's another way that we build a rapport with them, and it came into my awareness after I had read the book, The 5 Love Languages. So when I talk about the 5 things, it's going to be the 5 love languages. So The 5 Love Languages is written by Gary Chapman. It's this book right here, and I can put a link to this one in the video, either above or below. Now, what he did with this book was he ended up actually creating a children's book to go with his collection. And I picked this up so that I could figure out how to get a little bit closer, have more of a rapport with these children, and also with my nieces, as well as just any other child that I meet. So going back to the 5 love languages, I kind of came across this when I was in a relationship, and I wanted to get clear on my love language because I wasn't feeling very full, I guess I would say, in my heart through that relationship. And so I wanted to get clear on what my love language was. And then I also wanted to get clear on maybe what my partner's love language was at the time, because maybe I wasn't providing enough love as well in a way that he would feel it. So the 5 love languages that Gary Chapman talks about, you have words of affirmation, acts of service, receiving gifts, quality time, and physical touch. And these are not in any certain order. It's just the 5 love languages. So again, words of affirmation, acts of service, receiving of gifts, quality time, and physical touch. So you can get clear on this, and I would recommend you get clear on this for yourself as an individual, and see if you can get clear on your partners as well if you're in a relationship. Because even if you're not in one and you are single, the next time you go into a relationship, you might be able to pick out your future partner's love language, and be able to speak a little bit differently to them. But we're going to play this in because it doesn't really change that much when it comes to children. So I'm just going to talk about it in a way that will relate to children, and then you can take that with you, and hopefully it'll give you some good tips on how you can love them just a little bit more tonight, tomorrow, all through the future, and how to really fill up that child's love tank so they really feel full, and you're loving them and showing them love in ways that they are able to receive it. And then you can actually take a 5 love languages test. Maybe I'll find that link and I'll put it below as well, so you can take that test, and then that way you'll know yours. So you can either take the test, I would recommend read the book, but we'll just get into it. So, and not in any certain order, okay? So words of affirmation is something like, oh, you did a great job, and not just like you did so great, I'm so proud of you, but also like, I really saw how well you responded, or how nicely you treated that friend. Wow, I'm so proud of you. That was so great. And sometimes, words of affirmation, we forget to say, you're doing a really great job. If you're not somebody who's like that, if you don't use words like that, or if you don't speak a lot like that to other people or even yourself, you might not say that to your child. They might go ahead and clean up, and instead of saying, oh my God, thank you so much for cleaning up, like that was so great, that you were such a big helper, thank you so much for helping. Instead of saying that, it's just, you don't really say much, right? You just like, okay, let's go, like dinner table, come on. And you totally dismiss it. And sometimes kids like to feel that. They like to hear that you've seen what they've done and you're acknowledging it, right? So the next one I'm going to talk about, and sometimes you'll know that children want to hear that when they're like, did you see me? Did you see me? Like, did you see this? Did you see this art? Like, did you see how well I did? They'll ask you for that so that you'll prompt your response. to them of, oh yeah, you did so great, I'm so proud of you, well done, right? So listen to that, listen for those little cues from your children. And most of the time these cues, how do you know your child's love language? It'll come from them. So the next one, acts of service. So acts of service, I'm just going to touch on quickly, would be something like, I'm going to think about like a bit of an older child, like maybe 4 or 5, and they're thinking of, they want to change their room around. You know, they're sick of Paw Patrol and they want to go into something different. And, you know, you've been talking about changing the color or changing the bed sheets, just something like that. And for that child to maybe come home one day, maybe after school, or like a Saturday they go out and they come home and their bed sheets are changed, you know, and it's that whole new theme or whole new image that's up on the walls, the paint's been changed, like that kind of stuff, like doing that for them unexpectedly, or taking them out, you know, for like not just a treat, but to just take them out on like an adventure or have an experience unexpectedly. And some kids will ask that. You know, and sometimes they'll ask to go out on these adventures. They'll ask for you, hey, can we go here? Hey, can we go there? Hey, I want this. Hey, can we go see a movie? Hey, you know, something like that. So it's, again, listening to those children's needs and their prompts so that you have an idea of what they might want to do or what they might want to receive from you. And just by doing it naturally, and these are all things that you would do just on your own as a way of saying, you know, how can I show my child love today? How can I show my child, you know, that I really see him or her, that I'm really there for him and her, and that I listen, right? So these are all ways of showing them that you're listening. So the next one I'm going to talk about is receiving gifts. So this one can be a little bit controversial, I would say, because sometimes people like to, you know, you buy so many toys and you get all these things, but it's not necessarily like a gift that child is receiving that they really just appreciate. It could just become something that's so habitual that they just expect it. So it becomes an expectation. So I remember when, and this will just be my own personal experience. So I remember when I was really young, and my mother would travel a lot to Toronto, and from where I was to Toronto was always just like such a big trip. So every time she went on a business trip to Toronto, we would take her up to the Via rail station, drop her off, and it would be like a big thing for me watching my mom get on the train and waving goodbye to her. And anytime she would come back from her visit, if she had like a little souvenir, even a keychain, I just remember feeling so full of like, yes, you know, a gift from mom, because it's like she thought about me while she was away on her trip. So these gifts are not just things that are given out of manipulation. I'm gonna give this gift to you to get you to be quiet, or I'm gonna give this gift to you so that you'll, you know, go away and play with it. You know, and sometimes that can happen where a child is given a gift as a way to love that parent more. So I'm going to give you this gift so you'll love me more because I gave you these gifts. And that can be a little bit of a manipulation. So I just want to caution on the side as to what's the intention behind the gift. Are you giving that gift because you want your child to love you more, in that sense of you know, it's not really like a child doesn't really need that gift from you. What they might want is more quality time. So getting a little bit clearer on and because you're not giving them that quality time, you're giving them a gift instead, might not mesh well. So we'll talk a little bit about the next one, which is quality time. So sometimes, you know, especially, and I see it a lot where, you know, parents might be working all day, you know, and then at the end of the day, they're tired, and I get that. Everyone's, you know, tired at the end of the day. And my niece, for example, loves to play with dolls, and it was not something that I ever did. I never played with dolls, I don't think. So sometimes when I'm down visiting, she's missed me. We haven't seen each other in a while, and she'll ask me to sit down and play with her dolls. And it's not the first thing that I want to do is sit down and play with dolls. But at the same time, I have to remember that it's her way of spending time with me, and it's her way of having that one-on-one time with me where she can feel like she's got her Aunt Stacy time, where she's got her love. So even though I'm tired from driving down there, even though she's tired from having a full day at school, it's to still be able to shake off the stress of your day, to shake off the exhaustion of the day, and say, I need to give her at least 20 minutes of uninterrupted time with dolls. I don't need to bring a doll. I don't need to bring anything else. She has enough. It's just me and her, uninterrupted, playing with her toys. So sometimes we want to rush that because we've got dinner to get on, or we've like, you know, I need to go relax. I've just done this big drive. But it's like, sometimes all we need is to just give them that, 20 minutes of just uninterrupted play, right? And sometimes you'll be able to know that if your child asks to go for a walk or go to the park, and just something that would initiate some quality time, even just laying and sitting on the couch cuddled up watching a movie. And I'll also, the cuddled up part goes into the next one I want to talk about, which is physical touch. So a lot of people, when it comes to physical touch, can get really uncomfortable, but it's not anything that's obviously inappropriate. This is a physical touch that could be anything from, a hand on the shoulder, or putting your hand on their head and just giving them a little pat. And it can also be anything from like a hug or to, an embrace, to cuddling up on the couch. And I know for some men and boys, there's a lot of wrestling. So they get like really, really, really rough. But for some little boys, that's like, and little girls, it's also a time where they can just also be close to dad. So the wrestling is, as hard as it is to watch, sometimes it can get really rough, can also be a time where you're spending, cuddled up and embraced with the parent. So I just wanted to kind of touch on these a little bit, because if you always find, and if you, especially with physical touch, because if you find that your child is always, like caressing your arm, or has their hand on your leg, or just wants to get up and cuddle with you, that's how you know they're a personal touch kind of person. Or they're always like physical with you. Like my niece will grab your ear and she'll just rub your ear. It's her little tell. And she rubs her own ear whenever she's tired. It's another little tell, because it comforts her, right? So to just encourage us to try maybe looking from the perspective of these 5 love languages: words of affirmation, acts of service, receiving gifts, quality time, and physical touch. So really, if you need help also kind of distinguishing which love language might be the top one for your child, send me a little message if you're not sure. I can assist you in trying to figure that out. And you can just either comment below that you would like some assistance, or just strictly PM me if that's what you want to, and I can help you figure that out. Because with my experience working with children, they're the simple ones. It's adults that complicate things sometimes. So with the kids, it's like they give us enough tells as to how they really feel love, and some of them, it's the question is, have I shown love to my child, or to myself, or to my partner, in ways that they feel love, right? Because we might be trying to, I've given them this gift, and I buy them these toys, and they don't respect them, they don't respect me, but they might not be wanting these toys. Maybe what they're screaming for is quality time with you, to play with the toys that you're buying for them, spending time with them, sitting down, playing with the big dollhouse that you just bought with them, and they'd much rather, be going out for a walk with you than getting a new doll. Especially if it's, I got this for you and I've been gone, on a business trip all week, here's your gift. And the gift they might like it, but they also might want you to sit and play with it too. So they might not have just one love language, they might have multiple. And that's also going, if you have multiple children, that's multiple love languages. Not every child and sibling is going to have the same love language. And they're not going to have the same love language with mom and dad. Maybe with mom, their love language will be different. So dad might have to figure out what his love language is with his son and his daughter, and the third child as well. And the mom will have to do the same. So I just encourage this, because this book has really helped build such a great rapport with the children in my life, and there are a lot of them. And it might also help you figure out what you need a little bit more to feel more love within you. And to maybe, if you have a partner, to figure out what you can do to love them a little bit more. Before you walk into the house at night, or when you wake up in the morning, to just ask yourself, how can I love my children more today? How can I love my partner more today? And also, more importantly, how can I love myself more today? Okay, so I just wanted to sign on, send a little love. Always here for that. So I hope you have an amazing day and a night, and I will see you later. Bye.